Hey, so welcome to today's video where I'm going to be talking all about social anxiety disorder. What are the signs, how to identify it, what it feels like, and most importantly, how to recover from it fully. Okay, so let's not waste any time. Let's dive right in. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Rubin and I help individuals eliminate their anxiety attacks and social anxiety. So if that's something you struggle with, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell notification beside that so that you can be notified when I release helpful content that's going to be super helpful for you along your recovery journey. And before we get into it, I just want to give you the opportunity to download your free ebook. Okay, so the link is below the video. You can download it for free. It goes fully into this social anxiety disorder. You know, why it develops 100%, why it develops. It's not genetic. How it restructures your brain, how it rewires your thoughts and your feelings, and how you feel moment to moment, and more importantly, how to make a full recovery. Okay, so I highly encourage you to download that. It's going to be extremely informative, and it's going to give you just a ton of clarity on how to make a full recovery. Okay, so let's go now. Social anxiety, what is it? It's the extreme fear of being judged and evaluated negatively by other people. Being humiliated, being embarrassed, okay? And this constant fear, it turns into almost like a paranoia to the point where you'll be constantly scanning other people for danger or extreme self-consciousness to act in a way where that embarrassment or that judgment doesn't happening. And it's this constant, there's always a psychological component, and there's also a physiological component. So psychologically, going into a group, you could have these fears that you're gonna be embarrassed, you're gonna be humiliated, right? You're gonna do something stupid, right? The thoughts that are ruminating through your mind. And also you could get physical symptoms. So when you go into the group, you could be dealing with constant, butterflies in the stomach, anxiousness, right? A racing heart rate. You're feeling like you can't breathe and you're disconnected it feels like you're disconnected and peering into the group from the outside. Okay. There's always the psychological and physical symptoms that come along with that fear of being judged and evaluated negatively. That is at the heart. That's what's driving these ruminating thoughts and these physical symptoms. Now, within social anxiety itself, you could have a more specific form of social anxiety. So, for example, it could be specifically around public speaking. So you have this extreme fear of public speaking to the point where you're stuttering, your mind's going blank, you have a racing heart, you're feeling like you can't breathe in these situations where you have to public speak. Okay. Or you could have a more general form of social anxiety. So it shows up and it manifests in more situations for you. It could be one-on-one conversations could be extremely overwhelming. You're thinking of what to say, or you feel like you're going to have a panic attack because you can't keep the conversation going. Okay. It could be, you could feeling disconnected in groups. Okay. Completely disconnected or depersonalized. You can't be present in a group situation. You can't contribute to the group. You can't give your opinions. It could be the public speaking as well. It could be fear of authority figures. So you could have this social anxiety that shows up in a more general form in multiple situations. And so if this is what you experience, you also want to pay attention to how long you've had this anxiety. Okay. So as opposed to shyness, okay? Shyness is more like you're feeling nervous, right? You feel uncomfortable, you feel nervous, but you can push through it. You can kind of go into the group, you could do the presentation, and then when you take the action, your feelings go down and you no longer feel the discomfort. You can face your fears, as people say, okay? That is shyness, okay? But social anxiety is more permanent, okay? You can't simply just face your fears. You can't simply just give yourself affirmations to feel better and be positive, and it's going to go away on its own, okay? Social anxiety is going to be there permanently on a more permanent basis until you find the proper intervention for it. So me personally, I had it for decades. I tried a number of interventions like, CBT, affirmations, social skills, hypnosis, fitness, eating better, supplements, medication, all of these things. Okay. So I tried all of these things. It didn't improve for me. Okay. Now I had the more general form. So if I went into a one-on-one conversation, I would be fending off panic attacks because my mind was going blank. I didn't know what to say next. I didn't know how to carry on the conversation. In groups, I would feel completely disconnected and depersonalized. I was unable to be present and contribute to the group, give my opinions, okay? Speak up, talk, connect with the group and feel like I had something to contribute, feel like I was worthy to contribute the conversation or even just lead conversations and things like that, right? Presentations was extremely overwhelming for me. I would go into work meetings, and when I was put on the spot to speak, my mind would go completely blank. I would have massive heart palpitations, feeling like I couldn't breathe. And when I tried to talk, my voice would shake and I would stutter, and it was completely embarrassing and humiliating. And it kept happening no matter what. At one point, I even started to go into the bathroom stall before these work meetings to try to give myself positive visualizations, trying to give myself self-affirmations. But when the meeting happened again, it was the same thing. Mind blank, heart palpitations, can't breathe, voice is shaking, completely embarrassed and humiliate myself again. And let's go back to that point on shyness. That is why this is not shyness, okay? So think about it. If you're in a work meeting and your mind's going completely blank and your voice is shaking, you're getting these intense physical symptoms, whether, work meetings or one-on-ones or whatever the case is, groups. How are you supposed to face your fears and push past that if you completely lose cognition? You have absolutely not a single thought running through your head. Completely blank. That is why this is not a shyness thing. Because you will completely lose. You will be completely taken out of the present moment to the point where you no longer have the ability to function as a normal human being. Okay. So that is a really, really important distinction there. Okay. So be absolutely gentle with yourself. Okay. It's not shyness if that's something you're experiencing. Okay. Be absolutely gentle with yourself, because this is another component of social anxiety. Because when you go and your mind's blanking out and you're getting these physical symptoms in front of people and it's leading to absolute humiliation and embarrassment, there's always a layer of shame that gets tacked on to the anxiety. Okay. So as if the anxiety isn't bad enough, I used to experience this. As if the anxiety isn't terrifying enough, losing control and just having these physical symptoms come up and your mind's blanking out and you can't even function in front of people. As if that's not bad enough, you have to deal with being in such a vulnerable place in front of people, and they see you in such a vulnerable place. It's absolutely humiliating, and it leads to a lot of shame, thoughts of thinking, I'm such a weirdo. There's something wrong with me. Okay. It can lead to a lot of despair and feeling hopelessness. Like I can't get better. Everybody else is just functioning as a normal human being. I'll give you an example. In those work meetings that I used to be in, everybody, we would start going around the room extremely. That would be one of the biggest triggers for me. Let's go around the room. Let's give an update on what you're working on. Everybody else is they may be feeling, they're maybe a bit nervous. Maybe they didn't get their project done in time. Okay. So they're a bit nervous. Oh, you know what? We weren't able to meet the deadline, so things are a bit delayed. That is their concern in the moment. Okay. But then if you look at my internal experience in those moments, My concern is I can't even focus on the task at hand because my biggest focus is how do I get a sentence out? How do I get more than 3 or 4 words together without my mind blanking out, without stuttering? How do I not embarrass myself and humiliate myself? How do I not lose control of my mind and my body and make other people uncomfortable? So you can see it's a completely different beast than a bit of shyness. And of course it's going to make you feel shameful. It's going to make you want to isolate from people. It's going to want to make you keep this thing a secret and look into ways of managing and keeping the anxiety suppressed so that it doesn't get exposed and nobody finds it out. And I do go more into the actual physical symptoms, right? The internal experience and what it feels like. I do go into it in another video. So what I'll do is I'll link that video at the end of the video and you can check that one out next. But essentially, how do you recover from these intense ruminating thoughts, these physical symptoms, this deep shame of having this condition in the first place? And the key is to learn how it developed, okay? How did you develop such an intense fear of being evaluated and judged and evaluated negatively by other people? So you have to absolutely realize that it's not a genetic condition. Just because someone is genetically predisposed to being a bit anxious doesn't mean they're going to develop full-blown social anxiety disorder, okay? That comes, and I'll give you an example of the different students and the different people I work with, myself as well. What made you develop that thing? So people that I work with, it comes to their past experiences. They've been through bullying, right? A lot of bullying. They've been through absolute critical parenting, neglectful parenting, different abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. There's something in the past, okay? Their past traumatic experiences have impacted them so heavily that they carry such deep emotional pain inside, okay? And when this pain is too much, we have to store that pain away. Why? Because we have to go through life, right? In life, we have to keep going to school, right? We can't drop out of school. We have to store that pain away when we have to get through the school days. We have to get through our jobs. We have to pay the bills, right? We have to show up to different social events and present, right? Everything's fine. Everybody looks to be doing fine. You don't want to be the weirdo. You want to share that you're going through something in the background. You just want to show up, store that away, suppress it away so that you could just be like everybody else and not be the weirdo, right? So you have to realize, okay, the sentiment here is that feelings are time travelers, okay? If you go through these past experiences and they were way too much, the reason they get suppressed is because they were way too much to handle. You didn't have the resources to process them properly. So for example, today, if you go through something, you might be able to reach out to somebody, talk about it, right? Maybe journal about it, process it through, reason it out, right? When you're younger, you don't have those types of resources, right? And what you're going to do is they're going to get stored in your mind and your body. And especially the feelings, when they get stored or they get suppressed away, it's like a grenade. Think about a grenade. You pull out the pin and you have to have your hand on the lever here. If you take out the pin and you put your hand on the lever and you hold it here, as soon as you throw it and you let go of the lever, within a certain amount of time, it's going to explode, okay? The same goes for these feelings. It's like you have this grenade and you have your hand on the lever here. But if you let it go, it's going to explode. So for example, you have your hand on the lever. In other words, you're managing your anxiety. You're managing your every move. Social anxiety, you're going to be perfectionistic. You're going to censor everything you say, everything you do. You're going to do everything you can to make sure that anxiety is not exposed. You got your hand on the lever. But you'll notice sometimes you can't do it. So for example, if you're at work, in a workplace or something like that, you can't always manage it. You can't always avoid the situations where you're going to be embarrassed. You're going to be put on the spot. In the workplace, you don't have a choice. If you're at a social event, you don't necessarily have a choice. You have to engage with people and you have to speak up. So what happens is this anxiety, these feelings from the past, they come up and they completely flood you in the current moment, and they cause these ruminating thoughts, physical symptoms. They cause you to lose control. Okay. But the really important thing, the thing that I want to hammer in here is it's developed. Okay. So it can be undeveloped if you go back and you find a way to see where those feelings came from, what experiences or what different things that you went through that impacted you in such a way that these feelings were so painful that you couldn't process them back then. Okay. And what you can do is work to process them now. That is your way out of this social anxiety disorder. Because what you don't want to do is play into when you get these physical symptoms and the ruminating thoughts, what you don't want to do is play into that. You have to realize that you've already been triggered. The old feelings have already been triggered. And a side effect of being triggered in that way, of having that stress response go off and you're already in this kind of fight or flight mode, is you're going to be self-censoring everything you do. You're going to be scanning the external environment for any type of judgment. That is just a side effect of these old feelings coming up, okay? So don't play into the symptoms, okay? Don't play into the symptoms. Get to the root and heal it at the root. Because if you don't get down to the root, you're going to continue to feel the ruminating thoughts and the physical symptoms. It's like there's a fire and you're just trying to deal with the smoke and wave your hands in the smoke and trying to get some space and trying to breathe a little bit, okay? You want to get some space, but then you want to go underneath and put out the fire so the smoke's no longer there, okay? Now, those physical symptoms there and the experience is extremely intense. So here's the other video that I talk about. Check that video to get a better idea of what this whole thing feels like, what you experience internally. It's going to lift a lot of that shame and that feeling like it's only you. It's not only you. Check out the video. And if you found the video helpful, please like and subscribe so we can get this video out to more people who need the help. And thanks a lot for watching. I hope it provided some clarity, and I'll see you in the next video. All right. See you later.